During his long absence in Egypt, Hadrian's intolerance of Jewish aspirations and belief had been translated into outright persecution by the new governor of Judea, Tenius Rufus. Something had to give, and in 132 AD, the Jewish people, faced with the virtual extinction of their culture, rose up in a bloody insurrection. They were led by the messianic Shimon bar Kokhba, and they started a rebellion that threatened the integrity of an empire that Hadrian worked so hard to consolidate. Simon bar Kokhba's rebels used classic guerrilla tactics and their knowledge of this incredibly rugged terrain. They'd hit the Romans hard and then retreat back up here into these fortress-like mountains. These mountains are absolutely full of these man-made tunnels and caves as well. And in fact, right across Judea, the Jews made huge use of these tunnels, stored supplies and hid themselves from the Romans whilst carrying out hit-and-run attacks. Now, if you get the Romans in massed formations in the open field, they're virtually unstoppable. But make them fight on your terms and they're in trouble. And that's why the Jews managed to inflict heavy casualties. This called for Imperial Intervention. Hadrian rushed here from Greece. Troops are brought in from Egypt, the northern frontier, and remarkably, Hadrian appointed Julius Severus, the governor of Britain, to travel all the way here and take command of the operation. This was the Roman Empire doing what it did best, moving huge numbers of men over vast distances much quicker than the enemy expected. Severus had no choice but to beat them at their own game, isolate and destroy small groups of rebels, then attack their farms and their families, cut away their support. And then, rather than assaulting these mountains, they sieged them, starved them out, turned this from a fortress into a prison. And that's not a quick, decisive war, that's a long, bitter war of attrition. From his base up here in the mountains overlooking the Dead Sea, Bar Kokhba issued orders to his commanders all over Judea, desperately trying to stave off the inevitable. This is where the inevitable happened. Just over there on the other side of the valley is the town of Bitar, and the Arabic name for that place is Khirbet el Yahud, the ruin of the Jews. This is where the last stand of the Jewish revolt took place. The Romans besieged it and assaulted it and launched into a frenzy of slaughter that they reserved for those foolish enough to challenge their rule. Jewish sources from the time say that on the 9th of August 136 AD, the Romans went on killing till their horses were submerged in blood to their nostrils. Farmers didn't have to use fertilizer for 7 years, so great was the amount of blood that had been poured into these fields.